talking about AI obviously like almost every day now, but like I'm pretty much up to my gills in AI. Like I've got 2 different AIs I use. I've got all kinds of stuff going on with it. I'm even thinking about making my own just for personal use. But like I'm seeing a ton of investment in AI. What is the benefit of more AI? If like we already have enough, like there's no lack of it currently. So what is
it's all
the point
exponential.
going forward?
Well, you just said you're thinking about creating your own AI.
Oh my God.
Why
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
want
just
to create
for
your own
fun.
AI?
I have a home lab that I dick with, so that's about it.
So
No, but like,
make
take
things up?
that desire you have to expand it, and then there's people out there that think, oh, I have an idea of how I could use this to
Okay.
make money,
So-
get a leg up in the world or whatever.
But that's kind of the problem. And I'll just okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
So yeah, real quick. So first off, there is deeper and more reliable agentic frameworks, which I can go into. Basically, having the AI capable of doing task, that is a tremendously accelerating process that is not that we haven't topped out at yet. There are certain benchmarks. Most of the benchmarks that we are easily familiar with are at saturation, meaning all the AIs do 100% because that's part of their training corpus. But there are a few benchmarks that are still difficult for them to achieve. So there is value in achieving those. And there is also there's also the streamlining of AIs. Most of the more powerful AIs are extremely heavyweight, which makes doing things like fine-tune training them, even with a great deal of cloud compute, difficult. Ask me how I know. But outside of that, there's the recent advances we've seen from China, especially nailing it, shows that there are ways to extremely optimize these things for lower levels of required compute, and that's a big advantage. And then, of course, there's the group of people who are holding out for artificial superintelligence, meaning that we would.
And before you get in, Fundy, because I was trying to get in, I mean, even last like I don't know, fall or Christmas era, the models have gotten like 5 times more efficient just based on cleaning them up and making streamlining them. So I just can't imagine they would get even bulkier if they're getting thinner, like they're being refined. So
well, it depends on what you. I mean, I don't know what you're using as your baseline, but I'm trying to use Google Colab Pro with a ton of GPUs to fine tune one of the Dolphin models, and it ain't happening.
Yeah, you need a whole shitload of GPUs. You can do it on the cloud. You pay.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, I'm
there's
on
a big
Google
demand.
Colab Pro, so I've got a ton of GPUs.
Yeah,
I would assume that. I would just assume if you can get like more miles per gallon, like how is it we're still running out? But go ahead, Fundy.
So, based on my point, I want to ask you about this dead end that you reach, where it's like, oh man, AI can't service this thing that I'm asking it to do. So I understand it in that way, which I don't understand. You are interested specifically in it improving and having more resources or whatever in order to satisfy your needs. But would you also agree when I say that 99% of ChatGPT, Grok, whatever users are not using it even close to its like full capacity. And so even if it improved, they wouldn't use it in a way that is like reflective or taking advantage of it improving past the point that it is right now. From like, I'm just saying, do you agree? Most people, how they'll use AI, it is that it's already like at a point of satisfaction in the way most people will ever use it. So the only people who need it to improve or want it to improve are people currently pushing its limits, which is what, like 0.001% of the population.
The people, it's so ironic. Omnivore will sit here and insist we need AI while I appeal to AI and says, well, you shouldn't do that. Well, why not? Isn't this supposed to be my source material now? Isn't it sourcing literary like documents, scientific literature? Like, aren't I coming upon the articles and the scientific data through AI?
Well, you're just thinking of it. You're thinking of it like a search engine. So it's
But then you
possible that as a
justify
search engine,
ruining the
it's
environment
bad.
for data centers at the same time.
AIs can hallucinate all kinds of things. AIs have a bias towards the person they're talking to, meaning that if they have a history with you, they will try to answer things in a way that is most appealing to you. There's all kinds of problems with citing AI.
Yeah, so we should
And
just
AI
not do it.
can make very big mistakes. Ask me how I know.
But it's such a tiny view of what people are using AI for.
I know how I know because whatever AI you had to appeal to talk to me, they got you switching gears hardcore lately.
Yeah,
I'd rather keep this with a serious tone of conversation, but like everyone wants AI to be more accurate and what do you call it? Hallucinate less often. Sure, right? We all want it to be more based in reality and based in truth with its responses. But I don't think that's a matter of building more data centers, right? That's just a matter of like fine tuning its training, right? So
I would say,
why do it already
but data centers
functions?
could
So
just
why
be
do we
like
need to
a
build
function of
more?
demand, right? It could just be demand. Like more people, like your average person is like had their friend tell them, "Oh, I use it for XYZ," and then now they start using it. Apple integrates it into the phone, and so like I bet a lot of the usage is the basic like non envelope pushing, but there's just so much of it that they have demand.
And you said demand. Nobody asked for this.
It's already accomplishing that as far as I can tell. Can't you use ChatGPT right now? Can't I? I've never run into an issue where it's like, sorry, I'm busy. I've never run into that.
Yeah, but there
Have
was a
you?
point where you didn't use it. There was a point where you weren't using it, and then you started using it. And you can just look at like however many billions of people on the planet there are. There's still a bunch of like lagging people that never used it. They're going to get into it. And then there's people like I work in software, and the advances that have been made in software development are huge. Like to the point where if you're not using it, your productivity is going to be hurting.
But
Google,
put it straightforward,
Google
man.
just
Put it
released
straightforward and concise.
All right, well,
You're saying the reason they're building more data centers is just future proofing the larger amount of people that soon will be using it more often. And they're just getting ahead of that and being prepared for how much it will be more used soon.
So it's
Yeah,
right now.
they're running a business. They're not going to go build like 1,800 data centers that they have no forecast of being used.
Are you white knighting for their business?
So just so I just
it's just a business. I don't have to white knight to explain like how normal business runs.
Are you? It's a yes or no.
No, I'm not. I'm just explaining. This
Right,
business.
This
could be applied.
Right?
This could be applied to any business.
Right
so
now,
fuck this
Google
demand, this weird demand that your
virtually
system is out.
unavailable due to demand.
There is demand for AI, whether you like it or not.
Demand, and they released that like today. So what I put in the chat is a picture from one of my recent. I just took a screenshot of it. They released the latest version of it today, and I can barely access it. So the demand is real.
What do you think the chances are that all these hundreds, perhaps thousands of data centers are being built up that we associate with the development of AI is for a reason that you actually aren't aware of? It's for a secret reason, not just to, accommodate the increase in demand coming in the future, but for a reason that you haven't thought of yet. An ulterior motive. You think that's at least possible, or to what degree plausible?
Well, they wouldn't have to build those under the guise of AI. You could build a secretive data center. People build secretive facilities all the time.
I mean, it's possible. Do we have a reason to think that it's for some other reason?
Just the track record of everything that's ever happened in all of eternity.
we might not agree on the track record, but even so, yeah, I mean, it is possible.
I mean, is there a track record of an industry building a bunch of secret buildings that later turned out to be put to use for a nefarious
for some other purpose?
Mm-hmm.
I see. The thing is, I never said nefarious. It's just that, hey, we're doing this, and the public has this exoteric understanding of the purpose behind what we're doing, but within the secretive private class of individuals who understand the real purpose going on, there's a whole nother set of reasons they're doing this activity.
When it's like Omni said, it's possible, but you could look at like when cloud infrastructure came out, there was a huge boom in people building data centers to accommodate for that too, right? So when I view it, I say, well, it makes sense that if there's an increase in demand, that they're going to increase the ability to service that.
You know, I had a speculation for probably the past 15 years, whatever, that those "Are you a robot?" picture matching image questionnaires, right? Like, click all the squares that bicycles are located within. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
I had a feeling my entire life that they were killing two birds with one stone there. It isn't just for the firewall of, not letting bots into their website, but it's also training something. And I watched a video recently that actually verified that speculation, that it wasn't just me gaining my access legitimately as a human, but it was actually also doing a dual purpose of actually training AI in a way of image detection shit.
Possibly. Yeah. What's mind blowing is when you realize that, like, when you click the box that says "I'm not a human," it has nothing to do with whether you click the box or not. They're just they're watching the way your mouse moves and other things that make it more obvious that you're a human.
Yep.
So
that probably trains, thoughts. And I'm guessing that trains the system to further be able to recognize sort of human mouse behavior.
So you understand. I'm sure you don't apply that understanding to just that. Like, you understand that when someone asks you to do something, it can often be for two reasons at once, not just for the one that they're alerting you to.
Yeah, totally. Like Google does this all the time. Google will say sign up and use Gmail, and then they cookie stuff up. Their ads read the cookies, and then next thing you know, you're getting shown ads for everything that you search for. I mean, it's yeah. I totally agree.
Tell you, hey, and so when they tell you, we've invested $1 trillion into building data centers just so ChatGPT and Grok can answer your questions more accurately. You think that's the one reason, or do you think they have their own private esoteric reason behind the construction of all these data centers?
Wow, dude, I'll answer better than you could, honestly. My brother, oh man, you guys don't even know. My brother develops ChatGPT bots, and it's just all about quantum computing technology, which is basically they're just sending information on packets of light. And the quicker the information gets around and gets sourced, and it's hitting clouds, you're sourcing information from different clouds. And it's all about presenting that information accurately and quickly. So they're establishing, they're patenting how this information gets passed around. That's all it really is.
I don't think it was.
All right, let's talk about this, Alec. It sounds like you definitely know what you're talking about.
I did want to answer.
Oh yeah, wait, hold on, Pfinky. Let's hear what you think about this, because we all know that you.
I think what you said is complete horseshit.
No, it's not. AI. Okay. You want me to actually Google what I'm talking about for you so I can read it?
Quantum computing.
You want me to read what I'm talking about?
These bots that he writes. Well, you don't have to read it. Just tell your brother wrote these bots. Tell us about them.
Talking about sending information on packets of light. This is what quantum computer technology, their systems are utilizing this now. So these AI systems, like these big data centers, where they're cooling down the technology because these processing units are trying to accurately send and receive and interpret what's coded on these packets of light as fast as possible. And in order to do that, right. Yeah, I am right. I know, you dumbass. So anyway. So yeah, you don't need that. The human mind does it better than any data center.
Packets of lights go into the machine, and then what happens?
I shouldn't be nice to you. You're just horrible, dude. I have no reason to feel like I should be nice to you.
Okay, whatever. I mean, you aren't. You never have been, so it's all good.
Well, you just sound like a dishonest smuck.
Okay. Okay.
He's like, oh, we want to hear what does he think?
Anyway, tell us more about these.
Explain it, and then you say right. I explained it, and then you said right. You're a clown.
Hey,
Andy, I responded to your question.
Omnivore, what do you think? How would you evaluate what he said?
One sec, please. Matter of moderation. Electric. I haven't been paying close enough attention to know if your slurs and insults that you're throwing at him are justified. So, just be careful, because I'm trying to show Riggs that I can be a good mod for about half an hour, and you're making it hard for me to, know what to do or what not to do here. No one else threw swear words around besides you, so.
All right, no problem. Yeah, no, Pfinky is Pfinky knows what he's doing. If I go to engage with Pfinky, it's because he gave me the open invitation. All right.
Everybody, just please make it easy for me to determine who's in the wrong and who's in the right.
Yeah.
He asked me to explain something, but embedded in his words was the tone that I didn't know what it meant. I explained what it was. He said, "You're correct." And so I knew what it meant.
That was sarcasm. You missed.
Dude, we got to get into the meta because Pfinky's a waste of time.
Let's not do that. I think Omnivore had the next valuable piece of information to add.
Yeah, I was just pointing out that if they said the only reason we're doing this is for future capacity, I would question that, because there's plenty of stuff but they haven't said that. They don't say the only reason we're doing this. So extra compute doesn't prevent hallucination. That, right there, if they said we're doing it so Grok won't hallucinate, I would question that, because extra compute doesn't solve that problem. If they said we're doing it to make them nicer, extra compute doesn't solve that problem. If they're saying we're doing it so that we can have, more parallel agents, yes, that makes sense. Absolutely. And that's like one of the things that's on the, going off right now. If they say we want our API to have more high availability, I posted a picture in there from right now where I built out this agent, and it's giving me, what is it, a 503 error or something? Yeah, it's giving me a constant 503 error because the API demand is too high. And I'm using a modestly high access account. So, yeah, if they said that the only reason we're doing this is to future-proof it, I would question that. I would agree with you. But I don't believe they've said that. I think there's lots of reasons for them to be building it out, and maybe some of them are hidden. I'm sure some of them are. I don't know everything that they're doing.
So aside from what they aren't claiming, the development of all these data centers to be for, what do you think is their official narrative of, we're doing, obviously ChatGPT works to the degree it does right now, but that, all these trillions of dollars need to be invested in and building, and it's causing a lot of issues for a lot of people. Quantum of Conscience is talking about how it's caused a whole issue with like their water supply, and it's like really bringing down the quality of life. Anyways, you got it, right? Sure. You know about the stories, right?
Yeah.
So obviously people in that area might make like the complaint, like, it works, doesn't it? Why does it need to work better unless it's going to evolve into AGI? Because we could all a lot of us could get behind that, right? If this data center you think is going to result in the creation of AGI, a lot of people could get behind that. But as far as the average person uses, AI right now, it currently functions pretty well, and it's only some people that reach sort of limitations where they wish it was more powerful. But for most people, like 99%, it's all we need at the current moment.
So let me bounce a few things off you. So first off, you're aware that OpenAI has been sued because this thing has talked a bunch of people into killing themselves, right? You're familiar with those lawsuits?
I'm aware of two situations like that, but I'm not sure it's ChatGPT. It might be a different website, but I don't think that's important. But tell me if it is. I just don't think it is.
Yeah, I think it might be. So one of the problems.
This dance is weird. Are you defending data centers or not, dude? Are you defending destroying the environment for AI?
Talking to Pfinky about.
Yeah, I know, but Pfinky's a moderator, and there was something more important going on than this weird nonsense. Right. Like, are you defending data centers? Like, are you or not?
It's kind of like this is one thing I think.
Electric. If there is something more important that needs to be discussed, then mention it. You're just kind of.
I just did. Line. I want to know. Hold on. Let it happen.
Go ahead, man.
It can happen. Trust me. I don't need to be moderated for this one. Omnivore, what's the point of data centers? Why are we destroying the environment?
Bitcoin mining.
Data center.
That's one reason. One reason for data centers.
It is.
I asked Omnivore. Hold on, Pfinky, contain yourself.
It's open. It's not a one. If you want a one-on-one,
you definitely don't know what you're talking about, but
I definitely do. This is a subject I know way more than you about. I guarantee it.
I guarantee Omni knows more about data centers than you.
It's possible Omnivore does. It's possible he knows.
I definitely asked Omnivore, dude. Can you contain yourself?
All right, go for it, Omnivore.
Yeah, dude, electric. This side rail shit's getting kind of old for me anyway. I'm already old, so I don't know if this is how it's always going to be with you, or
it's taking a long time for it to answer. I don't want this to go on this long.
Data centers increase compute, right? How much computational power is available, whether you're Bitcoin mining or doing AI or whatever. Right now, we have AIs that are training other AIs. That's a major way to try to get your new latest AI up to where it can actually interact with the public. Is to have it trained.
Yeah, basically, it's trying to recreate what humans can already do.
Well, you could think of it that way, but it does it in ways that humans don't do it, and we don't understand everything about how that does work. So, even though we're doing it, but having AIs train other AIs gets your product out the door faster, to say that without much nuance. But
so it's business profit.
It requires a lot more compute. So there's lots of reasons.
So you're justifying the ends of business profit for destroying the environment.
I'm explaining.
I think you were going to have a turn coming up in just a minute. You jumped.
Why is he taking so long? Clearly, this should be going somewhere.
I think you're making him go longer than he would have originally, man. Just give it a shot, man. I'm paying attention to how long people go.
Look, if you understood about AIs training other AIs, then I read you wrong, but I question that.
Yes, you have AI systems sourcing information, teaching AI how to be functional members of society. People already did a really great job at that. All AI is doing is trying to, replicate the neurological system of the human mind. So I ask you again, are you justifying data centers?
There's data centers have been around for a long time. I said Bitcoin mining. They've been used for just hosting websites, running people's backend servers. Right. So do you oppose all
You're
those?
You're addressing the wrong context of data center. Stop wasting time.
No, there's all sorts of data centers, not just AI data
The ones
centers.
that they're developing for AI systems.
Language models. They're not the only difference.
You got to give Pfinky a shot to show if what he's saying is relevant or not.
He took a shot to completely miss my point.
He's terrified of letting me speak.
You got to give Pfinky a shot.
You guys want to why don't Electric and Pfinky just go to the other room and make out? And then we can be adults and do something else.
I'm actually fine. I'm fine talking to Pfinky and Omni. I don't Elect's not contributing that much in this conversation.
I was talking to Omnivore. Why are you dictating
in the parking lot? And I don't like speed bumps. So,
Pfinky, you're not bringing the conversation anywhere. I'm talking to Omnivore about how he's justifying the creation of these big AI data centers. Very simple conversation. Stop making it about weird stuff.
Now, I want to say something real quick. You tried pressuring Omnivore on addressing the green side of things, the like the health of our environment. And what you just said was way more on point of the conversation we were having. We don't need to mention how detrimental it is to the environment, to Mother Nature. But what we were talking about was the question you just asked. What is exactly the need of building all these data centers? Doesn't AI function right now? And who's asking it to function better?
Can I make
and I'm
one quick
repeating my
point? Can I
question
make
because they're
one
not
quick
answering it.
interjection?
Like, you're justifying the ends. You're justifying the ends of ruining the environment for AI. And I said AI is replicating what the human mind does. How do you
So here's
justify
a
the creation
question.
of these data centers? Okay, are
Here's a
you in support
question.
of it? It's a very simple premise that he is subliminally giving us. Okay, just want him to
He did
actually
answer it
make
already,
that
though.
claim. Yeah, no, he's
did
defending
answer it
AI,
already.
I'd have a point when he's done. I have a point.
but he can't blatantly say that he is for the building of the data centers.
He did, and he answered why already. You might have missed it.
Yeah, maybe because everybody keeps responding for him.
It's great. I think it's great that Alec is environmentally conscious.
I think it's
right
great
now,
that I can turn you down because you don't contribute.
Notice how he can't.
I'm waiting for Omni to respond.
Go ahead and turn me down. So the current AI data centers only make up like 3% of data centers. Like I would bet there's more data centers that are still mining Bitcoin than doing AI. Maybe at some point it grows where it's like equal, but the idea that data centers are harming the environment is that's kind of a bad argument given the current state of things.
That's idiotic. Everything you said is incorrect.
All right,
Nope.
Electric, why don't you just take a backseat for a minute, man? Well, everyone gave you their answer. You're not happy with it. It's fine.
The world's largest data centers are for AI systems. He's a liar.
It doesn't. Just look at the total number of data centers, the total amount of energy used by those data centers, and just tally up how much of that is from AI versus just traditional data centers that have been around for decades. And you'll find that the AI ones are still a tiny percentage of it. So saying, well, the biggest one that ever existed is AI, that's not a good argument.
All right.
To get back to the point, I'd like to remind you of Omnivore's answer that he already did provide.
Well, go ahead and continue with your line of questioning, Fundy. It's been a few minutes now, so.
Sure. Do you mean that, or did you want to say something?
No, please go ahead. Electric's taking a fiver, so.
Okay. Omnivore answered that question, what is the point? And he said that the reason you need more is so that AIs can more productively train other AIs. And obviously that's for improvement, but then the question is, to what end, Omnivore? When will we not need to build another data center? When will we have enough data centers so that AIs can train AIs at an acceptable speed?
Probably never. They're talking about orbital data centers now. I don't know that this is something that we compute our way out of. I don't know if there's ever enough, because the thing that you're doing, that we're doing, well, the thing that I would be doing if I were just using it normally, which would be talking to it, is, let's say that's usage level A. But what I'm doing, if you could see my computer screen right now, you'd see several different processes constantly running that are doing agentic searches and agentic coding and agentic analysis, or deep research analysis. And all of those things are compute heavy. And I'm just doing this now because I have like this hobby project that I'm working on. And plus I'm getting a master's in AI, so I'm trying to train a GAN, a generative antagonistic adversarial network, to create synthetic data for me, right? So these are things I'm doing. I'm not like a super user, but I don't know that we ever get enough. And I'm not saying this is a good reason to build more data centers. I'm just saying, if you're asking why they're building more data centers, there are reasons why they might do that. It's not just to make Grok work better. It's to handle these new dimensions of things that we expect AIs to do, like planning a vacation. My mother is using it to plan a freaking vacation, and it may wind up like booking hotel rooms and booking travel arrangements if it can do that. I don't know if she will do that with it.
Let me put it in my own words. Let me summarize your point in my own words to make sure I understand you. You're saying that the major driving force is because of the insatiable thirst humans have of technological progress. Even if there isn't a specific goal in mind, we do know that this is better than that, and there's something we could do even faster, even quicker,
or
or
even better,
whatever.
right? I could have this thing create a movie just for me, like a Hollywood film that is just my own idea of what it should be. So
Now, where you and I disagree is that I believe that there is an exoteric goal that all of this is based around trying to achieve,
so there could be.
And that most people, with your line of thinking are just explaining, oh, all these data centers, all the investment in it, it's just because, hey, we have something and we want to make it sharper, faster, better, stronger, harder, whatever, right? And hey, isn't that virtuous for virtue's sake of just, progress and improvement? And I say, hey, you might want to consider there is an ulterior motive that, the in the know class understand about why we're doing this versus just making this knife as sharp as possible.
Yeah, I want to respond to that. So first off, I'm not a gigantic fan of AI for AI's sake. I think it has in AI, just the version that we all understand, has potential huge drawbacks for society, for our psyche, for the environment, for all of that stuff. So
the children,
whatever. I mean, people are dying. These things are talking people into dying. The more safeties come off, the more it's going to. Anyway, I could go on about that, but I don't think it's a virtuous thing that they're doing. I think that they can make a lot more money. Whoever winds up with the most capability, AI is going to own the future. Right.
And there, one thing to keep in mind too is all these companies, they're burning money hard. Like none of them are making any money. They're not even close to making money. And so I think that remains to be seen as how does somebody profit from it. But part of it is in these early, like when industries emerge like this, you have people that go, it's like the leader wins and people just lose and get kicked out of the game. So a lot of what they're investing in is just establishing leadership, and they'll burn billions and billions and hundreds of billions, possibly trillions of dollars to try to get to the top of it.
Yeah.
Part of, like, if I were to address what you said, Fundy, and why for me, like, alarm bells don't go off is like my personal AI usage is I probably use 1,000 times more now than a year ago. Like I use it every day for work. I said I'm in software, and it makes me probably 20, 30 times more productive. Right. And I would say with very minimal decrease in output or quality, because I figured out how to kind of make it work for me. And so when I hear like they're building more data centers, for me, I'm kind of like, yeah, that makes sense.
As a seasoned truther, let me highlight one thing that you just exposed about yourself as a different state of mind than I would say most, let's say, experienced truthers feel. And it's that if you think at these highest levels of operations and culture and technology that money is, and like the making of money and the expenditure of money and like the balance of the economy is actually something that people are involving in their decisions, that's just like a highlighted sort of fork in the road between you and your line of thought versus most experienced truthers, where we would say no, this is for a much larger, grandiose sort of social engineering project that has all the money it needs to do whatever the goal trying to be accomplished requires. It isn't.
I appreciate that. I've personally worked at very high levels in the tech industry, and everything I've seen, 100%, it's about the money. Now, maybe there's higher levels I haven't worked out where it becomes where money isn't a factor, but these, like, they don't have all the money they need to make this happen. They are burning billions and hundreds of billions of dollars to do this. So there is a huge risk on their investors. And I would say at the end of the day, it's about, go ahead.
Let me just ask you the simple question about AI that we currently have access to. Because the public has access to Grok, ChatGPT, Seed Dance, all these things, right? Do you think that the highest level of AI is in our hands just as equally as, them, the quote unquote, they, those people, the elite, whatever? Do you think we have equal access to the same AIs, or do you think they have something, light years beyond what we currently have access to?
I think we have the latest. I mean, I think they're working on like the cutting edge. They're working on and testing. But I think in an industry like this where it's this competitive, if it was like one person controlling all of it, you might have more of an argument. But we have like four like sort of titans in the industry. They're all working on it at different angles, different kind of like specializing in different areas. And I believe they're pushing out like there's evidence that they're firing the people that are supposed to be like gatekeeping and guardrails for safety for this stuff in favor of pushing things out as fast as humanly possible. I think just like we have the latest phone, like consumers have the latest phone, there's no special magical phone that other people use. I think it's the same with AI.
Wow. Well,
wow.
Yeah, I'm super normie.
I think that's incredibly naive.
I have some thoughts on that. Go ahead, and I'll
go for it, man. Go for it.
Okay, so what we know is that the military, despite having a big dust up with Anthropic, was still using Anthropic to do their SIGINT analysis up to like last 2 weeks ago, maybe. I don't know if they still are, but they were. They didn't have a better option, and they were. And despite Hesketh saying, you must not use Anthropic's, device, or Anthropic's AI, they still were for doing intelligence work. So that tells me that either we're being completely lied to about how multiple moving parts are working, including court cases and filings and things that have real ramifications, or there's not a super secret better AI, in which case why would they be in a battle with Anthropic?
All right, let me ask you a question. This is what I was about to ask Pfinky, but I want to ask the both of you. I understand you guys don't have like this same, I don't know, thought processes as I do, and the people consider experienced truthers. But to me, AI has been one of the most obvious, like, artificial controlled rollouts of technology, because it is the saddest presentation I've ever seen in my life of the illusion of competition occurring. So ChatGPT comes out. Is that proprietary, like, software design, AI technology? Well, they have it. And then what do you know? Grok and Gemini somehow have just as well-trained AIs accomplishing the same things at a similar level of like competency. And then as soon as one of them introduces like a new ability or a new technique, now we're doing video. Well, give it 2 weeks, and the air quote competitors unleash their version of it. And the fact that all of them are so side by side in this race, it just makes no sense. If a company makes these breakthroughs or can do something so well, you wouldn't expect the competitors to just be able to offer the same service a week later. That's not realistic at all, in my opinion.
You're missing the point. I think the conceptual developments like the large language model didn't just rest with one company. They've permeated through academia and research in academia, going into commercial viability. For they're not going to, they're going to all the limitations that manifest themselves as someone coming up with a commercially viable large language model. It's exactly the same thing as all the commercial developments involved in making a battery that lasts 3 times longer using academically funded and academically researched and developed and commercially liaised technologies regarding free charging mechanisms.
But
no
you're
one, no,
basically
no one, no one.
arguing that no one ever has a private proprietary breakthrough that they don't share their notes, their research notes with their
I want to get
competitors.
in there.
Didn't say that.
I mean, it's
Didn't say
kind of
that at
like,
all.
look, it's kind of like
Why
Tesla comes out with
doesn't
an,
that
well, it's kind of
ever-
like Tesla comes out with an electric car, and then within like a very short period of time, everybody else comes out with an electric car. Like these people, there's a ton of money behind these things, and they throw like I said, they throw hundreds of billions of dollars and to go recreate the models and to recreate features as they come out. It just doesn't, like, I don't have to reach for anything other than just that. It feels to me like normal high tech, fast moving competition.
I think you're being overly generous and basically ass pulling like platitudes and saying, I believe that people I don't even know, that I've never talked to, are capable of keeping up with each other. And I don't believe that we will, because we never have, right? I'll finish this. Wait, hold on. I haven't explained why I said that. We can all agree that none of us ever see just one company come out with something and it's just like, wow, Android did this, and Apple, man, they don't know how they did it because they kept their, technological developments to themselves. It's always like, oh, Android does it. Oh, Apple does it the next year. Oh, ChatGPT does it. Oh, Grok does it a month later. No one is ever too far ahead of their competitors because it's not a real competition. And one-sided true competition is someone getting ahead by a lot through breakthroughs. But you never see breakthroughs putting anyone far ahead in the race than any of their so-called competitors. And that's because that's because I would say it's an illusion of competition to trick you into believing that it isn't a one world system and a monopoly.
Okay, let me address, and then Spazzy, you can go. Or what's your actual name? Pazza. Like I use AI for coding. There's one AI that is head and shoulders above all the others for coding, and I bet everybody that uses it knows what it is. It's Claude, right? Like the other ones are trying, and they're like, there's coding models for ChatGPT for all the other ones, but they are not as good.
So just
same for images. If you want the best image one, you use Midjourney, right? So they're in competition, and like ChatGPT releases an image generation feature. It's not great compared to the best ones out there.
Can I get in real quick?
You're ignoring where it was.
Can I
3 years ago? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So you hit on something that's really key. In 2017, a white paper was published. This is a scientific paper called All You Need Is Attention that lays out the basis for large language models. The reason why everybody sprung up around it was because like these 6 guys put this together, and then a number of technology companies started implementing it. Same reason why after Satoshi's Bitcoin thing came out, now everyone can mint their own shitcoin. It's not because it was a secret process and nobody understood. It was published as a white paper, and then people implemented it. So you're absolutely 100% right about what happened, but it wasn't a mysterious reason why those things all came out together.
I would think that's applicable.
I would argue when you talk about phones, talk about technology and phones, because you say, oh, someone's got it, and all of a sudden they've all got it. Well, to say there's no competition it's a hideous misrepresentation.
I said there's an illusion of competition.
No, not at all. Everyone is working on IP. Everyone is working on intellectual property, like a new battery or a new touch process or a new screen luminosity or a better or high resolution, lower power, making it smaller, making it more cost effective, making it more robust, blah blah blah. Yeah. When they develop them, they patent it, and the moment they patent it, and then try and if they can lease it out as many people as possible, because whilst they're actually using it themselves and they have a manufacturing, production and commercial advantage over their competitors getting to it, they know that if they don't do that, they're going to get caught up. If everyone sells their IP to each other or leases it to each other, then that's not saying there isn't a competitive market. It's the exact opposite. It's a market that completely understands how to utilize the most amount of financial leverage from its developments. Not the same thing as just saying, oh, it's on one phone, it appears on them all, therefore there's no real competition. That's daft.
I said there's an illusion of competition.
It's not an illusion. There is actually competition means that if you have some unique way of doing things, and you can corner the market and you evaluate how long you can keep what you have on, to yourself, and then
no
you
one
evaluate.
Ever does corner the market.
No, do you know why? Because they evaluate how much they can make by leasing it out and lending the technology to every other competitor in the marketplace. And if it's more cost effective to do that, they'll take that route.
Well, it's funny that you never see them taking the opposite approach. That's a fine enough, attempt at justifying this, and I thank you for that potential plausible insight. But just based on my life experience of seeing what I determine to be an illusion of competition, it seems clear to me that basically most fields of technology and progress are a monopoly with two heads of the same hydra, or maybe three or four heads, and that is the reason behind why no one ever gets ahead very far without their, quote unquote, competitors coming out with the same technology in their devices a year later, usually at most. And
if someone brings out another way of doing things, okay, right? Their competitors either emulate it as close as they can without getting some copyright infringement, or go to the company and say, "Can we buy it off you?" Now, when you say getting ahead, the only thing that matters in commercialism, in terms of getting ahead, is how much money you're making more than your competitors. That's it. That's all it means.
And if you have a breakthrough in technology that your phones can do this and your competitors can't, then you can have a 10-year-long,
no, you can't.
leading position.
I sort of agree with Fundy. I think I agree with Fundy on that. And I would say there is thought leadership, which you can have thought leadership even if you don't have necessarily like financial dominance. I think eventually you have to have financial dominance, but there are cases where there's like, I think the iPhone's a good example. Like the iPhone, there wasn't anything really to compete with the iPhone for a long time. Like that was way ahead of its time.
I think the iPhone, they were in a unique position off the back of their other devices to position themselves in the market to have the phone with the OS. They were there in the operating system.
So you say they had a competitive advantage, maybe just through leveraging other technologies, but they were able to get a multi-year, I would say, head start on.
Yeah, the touch business, the touch part of it wasn't theirs anyway. They poached out of someone else, but the rest of it they effectively they put together. And like I say, I think that arguably their initial lead was because of their OS platform and the app provision platform. Because even the competitors in the not so smartphone market before them, they were trying to leverage the notion of being able to get applications on the phone, but they didn't have a rich enough OS to be able to do it properly. But in terms of the material sciences behind the iPhone, they've never had a mechanical advantage over anybody else.
Yeah, and I agree. It was a matter of time. Like even whatever advantage and head start they got, like you knew it was a matter of time before we just got absolutely flooded with similar looking and size and shape smartphones with app stores and all that. And everybody went, like Microsoft did it, Android did it, Google didn't do the OS, but I guess Google owns Android, but Google did it, right? Because people want to get in on this. The hot latest thing that's going to make money.
Absolutely, and it's exactly the same way that Microsoft went into the games console market. The Japanese platforms were way ahead of them on the silicon, and the Japanese platforms were way ahead of the game development. And Microsoft just leveraged their way in on the basis of on the back of their.
No, they're fucking not.
One thing I'd say, I don't think this. I want to put this in like, I don't know where I'd put it actually, but I do think that the part of the reason why there's such competition in AI is because people recognize that it's going to take a lot of jobs, and by basically companies are going to say, oh, I can pay once agents are sufficiently good, they'll say I can pay $500 for an agent and I can save the hassle and expense of hiring people or whatever. And I do think we're going to see some problems as far as job growth or whatever. And I do think there's a lot of selfish people that want to get in on that because they realize that that's, in the future, that's going to be a huge moneymaker. And I don't think they care about what necessarily the effect is on the average working person or middle class or anything like that. They just want to get in on this thing that they think is going to be a big moneymaker. So that could be an ulterior motive, Fundy.
Those sort of people are, in all honesty, those people are approaching this technology exactly the same as people have approached the motor car. No one give a fuck about how to take the infrastructure.
Yeah. I mean, and the computer, other like advancements like that.
Exactly. But however, at the moment, the aspects of it in terms of tool utilization, how it's going to affect you me and you in software. I mean, I've been working in software since 1990. Never seen anything. Nothing's ever come close to being this much of a paradigm shift in the way things are done. My company develops silicon for AI, and they've got their own language model at the moment, in which they're pushing the entire all of the repository of 25 years work into.
So I've understood from the start here, and I said it when I first brought up this topic. I first said, if any of you are here to remember this, I said, all I want to do is describe I think it was Pfinky I was talking to. I just said, I want to describe to you the fork in the road between your line of thinking and, as I called it, experienced conspiracy theorists about, the competitive nature of technologies like Apple and Android and Grok and ChatGPT. But I'm open to, you guys have said a lot about like trying to tell me how you believe it truly works. But obviously I just say, well, that's just part of the trick, right? And I'm not sure what would it take me, to believe your side, that it's all organic, it's all grassroots, no astroturf involved. You know what I mean? I'm not sure any of you have the ability, and that's no shame thrown towards you. It's just like, you're just a person like me. What could you show me to dispel these conspiratorial theoretical thoughts I have? I don't even know what you could do to convince me.
I wouldn't really. I don't know. I agree. I don't think there's anything, and it's not something you could prove or disprove. I might point to, like, if I was just going to try to engage it, I might point towards, like you could look at corporate espionage or lawsuits between competing organizations around certain technologies. I'm not aware of. I'm sure there have been, but I don't know specifically of like lawsuits or patent lawsuits around AI. But it certainly appears that the companies are, actively trying to hedge and sort of fight against the other companies in the space.
Well, it's similar to like, you've been involved in these circles for a while, all of you guys. And, to me, it's the same sort of approach you would take to talking to me through this, that you would try to tell someone, no, the right and left wing of politics isn't, two wings of the same bird. They're completely separate things at war with each other. Where of course, the expression conspiracy theorists will say, "Oh, two wings of the same bird, right? All leading you down the same direction, flight, trajectory towards your enslavement or whatever."
Yeah, but I would contend that they're different. They may not be different enough for some people's preference or whatever, but they have, they
come across as different, divide and conquer, right?
Yeah, like one thing I bring up is if you dislike the way Israel's handling the conflict in Palestine, there's one of the parties has taken a much firmer stance. I mean, I don't know if I'd say much firmer, but one party has had opposition and proposed opposition bills that would hinder Israel, and one of the parties has zero of that. So that's a difference, right? May not be enough. I'm not even
sure there is such thing as the left or right take anymore. It seems like this podcaster or this news spokesperson versus another, I don't even see clear lines in the sand drawn anymore. People pretend there are, but I don't even recognize them to exist anymore.
Yeah, maybe not. I sort of agree with that. I think that's a good thing, by the way. Like, one of the things I appreciate coming into these servers is it's not like you don't get the partisan divide. Like, people, you can be flat, globy, and you can't just like predict which political take people will have. So I think that's a good thing.
If in America you gave carte blanche to the Republicans for 20 years, said you're going to be in for 20 years, whatever happens, and you're going to have
What does
enough
that mean?
majority. You're going to be in power for 20 years. You're going to have the majority in the chambers and the presidency. Let's suppose you said to the Republicans, it's yours for 20 years. Do as you will. Yeah. If you did that, if you took one timeline and you did that, and tomorrow you did the same thing for the Democrats, and you gave them.
Okay.
And
follow.
by that I mean they can actually do something more meaningful, more visceral, rather than just touching and prodding things and hoping that doesn't affect their voting portfolio in 4 years' time. This endless cycle.
Right.
Yeah, just like a given they each have a super majority and the presidency, and weighted.
They just go hog wild with it for a long time.
I would argue if that approach was taken, yeah, you'd have a two completely different timelines in terms of gun control. In terms of lots of different things that we know they clearly have differences of opinion on. The only thing, the thing that makes the two wings of one bird malarkey is only really because nowadays politics is become so cyclically based upon getting votes every 4 years, but neither side actually gets their teeth into anything. So basically, just pushing and prodding around, they're kicking sand around the outside of the box.
Well, to give you a little lesson on like psychological manipulation, the psychopath manipulator narcissist gets his best work done not by being a cruel individual 24/7, but by basically switching between a cruel person and a love bomber. And so it only works if they swap back and forth. And what I'm telling you is I think that is by design for the most efficient manipulation. It requires two sides. It requires this, two birds of the same wing, more like a tail fin, it's gotta swing left and it's gotta swing right in order to propel the same fish forward through the water. And you go around in circles if you just flapped right, you know what I mean? Right to middle, you go in a circle.
If you compare American or European politics from post World War II up until the mid 1970s, yeah, they both got a lot done. They both got a lot funded. They both got a lot built. They've got a lot of institutions completely reevaluated in both our cultures. Okay, right. By comparison, last 10 to 20 years of politics has been completely ineffectual in both countries. Nothing substantive has been done in America. Nothing substantive has been done in the UK. A lot of pushing, a lot of stomping on stuff, a lot of cutting back, a lot of curtailing policies, regulations and stuff, but not much constructive's taken place at all.
I'm realizing that there's no point, like, in everything I say, I'm holding back to a degree, and perhaps you are too. I don't know, but it's like, what am I doing? I'm not really expressing my my full brunt of expression here about what I really think. This is, I don't know. I find myself this whole time doing a sort of dance of not PC, but what does that stand for? Like publicly correct. I'm doing a little dance of like DC, Discordian correctness, And I just realized, like, what am I doing? I know it won't go well if I just say everything I truly think, just straightforward. I sort of take it easy. I soften the blow. But what does that accomplish at the end of the day? I don't know. What are we doing? We don't agree. Should we even discuss these things?
Yeah, I think it's good to discuss them. I don't get offended by it, by the way. I think it's interesting. I'm willing to hear like your take on it, and I'm okay. I'm okay with the idea that I don't think I'm going to say anything that's going to necessarily change your mind on it.
Are you softening your blows though? To make it, DC, Discord appropriate for the audience? Cause I realize that's what I'm doing. I always approach these conversations like, hey, let me ask you to consider this, idea that will be a bridge, perhaps later to me elaborating more so on the same subject to guide you towards the direction of my ultimate conclusions. I don't just say them outright. I always do this sort of like gentle approach. Let's guide you towards these things because I know if I just say it outright, it doesn't go well because I see that happen with people who don't hold back. Not interesting. That's just what people say. Oh, you
I didn't
travel
hear that.
north. I mean, that's the idea. There's more like 90% of all human beings who have ever lived, just putting it in terms of the globe model, live in the northern hemisphere. Only 10% of all humans throughout all of history in the mainstream anthropology are, described as living in the southern hemisphere. And so and in that north, the 90% of people that apply to that, the white people are the ones that live closer to the North Pole.
Because are they white because they're near the North Pole? Like the environment did something?
Well, yeah, the mainstream idea is that, obviously you naturally produce less melanin through the whole tanning process, but also, they say that lighter skin, is sort of a compensation in order to, increase vitamin D production. That darker skin is resistant to vitamin D production. And therefore, if a black person moves to London, or let's just use this statistic, all black people who live in England are vitamin D insufficient
It's
because
the
that
same
is
idea
go ahead.
as people living in tunnels and becoming white. Like they're just not getting as much sun.
Yeah, I'm saying I have a direct problem with that theory that people turn black because of how much exposure they had to the sun. Like the whole idea of melanin, and that's why there's black people because of how much they were outside. We really don't have any science to back that up.
Yeah, but if
That's
a
why
white guy gets really tan, his kid isn't going to be really tan. His kid's going to be white.
I think that's true.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, a white guy goes tans a bunch, and his kid still comes out white. There's no epigenetics passed on through tanning. But yeah, that's a whole topic. I don't know.
Well, like I always ask this question, kind of rarely, not too often, but I do love hearing people's takes on this question. We
Not true.
observe
You can't
we
tan and turn
observe
black.
we observe the
Sorry.
races of the world, however you want to categorize them. To me, I'll just put it in the whole way of saying, I got Indians and Asians and Africans and whites and Native Americans and whatever, right? And I just like to ask people, what is your idea of how that came to be? I don't take offense to anyone's answer. I don't know. I just like asking people, this is what's going on right now. What's your opinion on how this current circumstance and situation came to be?
Genetic modification.
Like mad scientist shit?
Possibly.
Well, tell me your ideas, man. I'm not going to just believe them. I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to ask another person. I'm going to ask another person.
I don't know. It's kind of racist.
The person who, makes the most sense, I'm going to take the most seriously, but I can't take anyone seriously if they just say,
Well, here's the
I don't
thing,
know,
Blob. Here's
mad
the thing.
scientist. I
Like,
don't fucking know.
if you think that one race is greater than another, that is not inherently racist. That could be a conclusion you have, but you would need to support it with like valid evidence other than bias, because that would be racist.
Well, so if you look at Africa and Asia, they're just like giant child abusing slave camps, basically. Like, Africa is just terrible for the children that are born there. Same thing with China. And it's like, I don't think that's how people are supposed to be. And they literally attribute like, yeah, they
Both of those
blame
places are
like
really big places.
Yeah, I guess it's not 100% terrible.
You could say
but
average. I could agree with you to say average.
Yeah.
Is it possible that like these societies though, like these the whole continent of Africa, even like if you go look at the replication rate, if you look at like the technological progress, if you look at economic progress, it's as if they want to hide all of the actual progress that's being had there so that people just have a general misunderstanding about Africa altogether. Like it would appear to me that there's an effort to make Africa as dumbed down and degenerate as it is, not necessarily because it always was that way, but because there are economic factions that are kind of like forcing a culture that has been that way for a very long time. Like,
yeah,
it's like not that it's under rule, but that it's been undercut or like it's been pushed to the side or like forced to be kind of a shithole.
I called it self-fulfilling prophecy.
I would say that that's true about every place, though. Like, there's just people are trying to fuck up all the countries, and I don't know. I don't think that. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Bob.
Let me ask a serious question that's very straight to the heart of the matter. Why isn't there any famous location in Africa, like a highly populated, advanced, like nice, clean, awesome city that anyone wants to go to in Africa? I've never heard of that. Am I wrong in saying that?
Nigeria is like a safe haven. People are moving to Nigeria like right now.
Who's moving to Nigeria?
I know people that are moving to Nigeria. Yeah. I think Ludacris just moved there. He's rich. He could live anywhere in the world. He chose Nigeria.
I think that's racially motivated, though. You know, like Akon tried to create a city in Ethiopia or Nigeria that failed, right? The A-coin based on his.
I mean, the news is only going to tell you the failures. I don't want you to focus on that, right? There are people that really do move to Africa and they prosper, but the news will only tell you that people are going there trying to fix it and they're missing, and it doesn't get fixed. Oh no!
They prosper because they're going over there with American money, and that's a ton of money compared to what they have. And all you have to do is open up like a little store or some shit, and then you're.
Well, did you know that Africa? Did you know that Africa has water? Did you know that most of the world sources water from Africa, and that it's just that the people that that you think that are hunter gatherers like out there in the dirt, they're sitting on water reserves. They're just the government and whoever.
The Congo,
hold on, I'm trying to tell you something. Cut me off to now. You know what I'm saying? In Africa, the wells where they say, "Oh my God, all these Africans, they don't have wells, they don't have water, they don't have running water." Not true. There is more water reserves in Africa than anywhere else in the world. You can look this up. It's just that they don't have access to it because the government is corrupt and it's ran by Jews, Talmudic Jews. So it's not the black people that are impoverishing themselves due to their behavior, due to their skin color. That region of the world is under serious. It's a seize and grab. They are seizing all the naturally occurring resources, the water, the minerals in the dirt that help the vegetables grow. Now nothing grows there because they took out all the precious minerals that help aerate and provide minerals to the plants and the nutrients.
By the way, the way they do that is with peanut farms. They literally plant like peanut trees and it just completely destroys the soil. It's horrible for the ground.
Let me get an answer. Yeah. Let me get an answer to my original question that never got answered here. And let me just say, maybe you guys need to educate me because I'm a ignorant American of some sort, right? And I just don't know. But I do know about cities in all sorts of different countries that are on that let's say I would put on my bucket list of travel locations. And you know what? There's not a single city in Africa that I imagine is on anyone's like, oh, before I die, I sure got to go travel to this beautiful society.
Well, yeah, I'm going to Tel Aviv
and experience their culture. Why is it the case that on almost every other continent, there's at least one place that I've heard about that has a good reputation that I have dreams of traveling to sometime in the future, but there's not a single one in Africa that I even am aware of that I should even have interest in traveling to and spending time in someday.
Does Egypt count?
You know what? That one does count, kind of. But good exception, man. Good exception.
If you're seeking like modern pleasures like Dubai, that does that area of the world count? Because Tel Aviv is pretty amazing, right?
No.
No, I thought people were flocking there, and when you see pictures of the place, it looks amazing.
So
I heard it's the gayest city in the world.
Yeah, they say that too.
Like proudly.
San Francisco. San Francisco's beautiful, and that's gay as hell.
No, the best place to go is North Korea if you want to have a vacation and just really have fun. You know what I mean? Let your hair down.
Like, I'd love to go to South Korea. I'd love to go to Japan. There's even, I'd be cautious on how I do it and stuff, but there's tons of locations in China I'd love to go to. I'd love to go to Paris, Barcelona, Spain. You're
looking for an updated smart city with a roller coaster, an indoor roller coaster, and then you're going to go get a $50 mojito. Like, that's not why you go to Africa.
That's not true. Okay. That's not true because all the places I just mentioned, I would have loved to go to before the invention of electricity. All of the pre-electric versions of those places I just listed, I think I'd still be interested in traveling to.
What I was saying, dude, is when you go to tour Africa, they preserved nature and like ancient cities. Like, you go there to just learn about history.
That sounds like a nice sugar-coated way of saying undeveloped shitholes.
Dude, America is more undeveloped than places in Africa right now. There's places in America that have Walmarts and people with education, and it's less developed than places in Africa. So I don't see the point of constantly trying to make that point.
Like I said, maybe I'm just completely unaware of what utopias and nice, civilizations are located in Africa. I'm just speaking for myself and how I imagine most people to also have a similar mindset as me. It's like no one has anywhere in the majority of Africa that they ever even dream of visiting. Is because we're not aware?
There,
Nigeria, Egypt,
where all the whites are in South Africa.